Yeah, I think that it's kind of in the 6 steps. I'm triggered is the first step. The second step is it's about me. The what we tend to do with that step and with that statement is to self-blame or to feel like a victim or to resist that. It's like, no, that's not true. Let me tell you what they did, right? It's like the very way in which we are catalyzed and magnetized into the external really comes to play with our belief that something out there or someone out there needs to change for me to be okay. What that doesn't recognize, that error in perception, doesn't recognize is that oh, it's our energy, it's our frequency, it's our true nature in which reality arises for us, right? That's a radical understanding, but it goes along really hand in glove with the 6 steps and how we can come to ourselves in our own clarity and peace and happy and ease and everything that we believe that we want, but mistakenly believe that we can acquire it or that it can come from, in quotes, out there. So when we rest into, when we drop into, it's about me, it's like this, it's like a homecoming, really. What it's saying is that my reality, my experience is about me. And in that understanding, I have access if it's unhappy, if it's a contraction, if it's not something that I want, then I have access to it through this understanding that my experience, my reality is fundamentally about me. The It's a high bar when we end this reality, this 3D projected fear-based reality that's based in polarity. It's a high bar to shift out of the idea that something happened to me or that somebody did something to me or that this reality that I am an aspect of, a part of, whatever, a community, and our group here, it's the Sangha, the idea that I am responsible for my participation in my reality to the degree that I have access to it, you can feel what a point of power that is. People saying yes? Yes. Or amen, or anything like glory, hallelujah. I mean, this is amazing grace to really grok this piece and to know that whatever's going on and what we know is a projection. The quantum physics understanding of as viewed, as I perceive it, so it will appear. And the as viewed is the part that's about me. If I'm perceiving it through the lens of an early wound that says I'm not good enough or I don't matter, then I've got the reality that will reflect that back to me. It's a very unfortunate creation, actually. It's like the way that it works is like, really, but it takes away, it moves us into our own autonomy on our own behalf, and it moves us out of a victim perception, even though initially the resistance has to do with, no, they really did do that. They really did rip me off or fuck me over or whatever you're suffering with, right? So this is the shift that's so fundamental to the freedom and to a shift in frequency that informs the way reality shows up. So that's the fundamental piece. And everybody in here, as far as I know, and on the call, uses the 6 steps to address the shadow or the triggered, the wounded side of us. But I often have run into people who kind of skip right over it's about me, right? But Oh, I know what number 2 is. Let's go to number 3, right? But the number 2 is the most engaging. It's the one with the most bite. It gives you what you need in order to discreate an identity that has a frequency of victim. And in the light, the shift in perception then shows up as a different reality, a reality that's on your side because you've come to be on your side. And the way that you can't come to be on your side as long as it's a victim identity. Mm-hmm. So I'll open the floor, but it'll continue to unfold. There's a lot I can say about this, but if we can move into a conversation, I think it would be.
There's some things I could say that Diedrich says about it that we could add.
Sure, that's great.
He said it's the most complicated step, and without it, we look outside ourselves to blame someone or circumstances as the source of our upset. And there is what Polly's pointing to, the sense of being a victim, that life is happening to me, and that the belief in victimhood is false, and you were pointing to that, and that it robs us of hope and happiness, that we believe we're controlled by some outside force, and we can't be free as long as we're doing that. So if we imagine, again, you were pointing to this, at the core of everything in our life, the core of everything in our life arises from a creative power within us, which is what you're saying. It's a creation. This is our creation. Mm-hmm. What we're doing out here is our creation. And that we're driven by a belief we hold about who we think we are. And those beliefs write the story of our lives. And free will is the freedom to change our beliefs. So telling our stories doesn't change anything. Our problems are underneath the story. The story protects the belief, making it more real and deeply seeding it into our psyches. And then being right feeds the ego, which is the barrier to the real experience of love. How are we doing so far?
I like it. Thank you, Diedrich.
Yeah, so our ego and suffering derives from our interpretation of what happened, not what actually happened. And knowing this opens a valuable doorway. Would you rather be right or happy? And being right is to lose. What needs fixing is the ego's interpretation of the experience. The facts are neutral and are interpreted in many ways by the ego and beliefs. Healing begins when we ask ourselves, is there another way of seeing this upset? How are we doing?
Are you really good?
No problem so far?
No, I think that's all clarifying, and it enlarges the perception of this issue, this participation that we have from such an unconscious, subconscious place. It got the minute that, and for many of us, we know of the early wounding as a birth trauma or a mother wound that occurred pre-verbally, for sure. And so we don't have access to that as long as it's that held in that story, right? Whereas when we use whatever's going on now as the trigger is the opening into that old conclusion, basically. Will be triggered now when they didn't invite us, so we weren't included, right? And that can go back to, through the 6 steps, go back to an early experience as an infant when we were the second born and there was already somebody on the breast in mommy's lap, and we were like, when's my turn? I don't matter, right? So we have all of these kinds of imprinting that create. And this is a part of the teaching that I do. We are perceiving reality through a distortion lens. That distortion lens was created by these conclusions that occurred early on when we weren't attended to and we believed we don't matter, or we had some experience, and out of that came a self-concept of lack, our need, our victim. And that created a way, a distortion lens through which we perceive reality. That's a frequency lens. And as we use Paul Levy's version of quantum physics, as viewed, I'm seeing it through the distortion lens, I don't matter, so it appears. So that's the kind of understanding, and it's a radical perception of the way reality works. Because since wherever we place the fall in terms of the biblical stories, or our own our Zachariah Sitchin stories or whatever, wherever we place the fall, at that point, what it began was the polarity, because that was where the fall occurred, out of the heart, the field of allowing, and into the mind, where it was underpinned by fear, and it's going to be right or wrong or good or bad. And the minute that we're held in polarity, we're going to find we will be the victim or the persecutor, and there will be the other part, victim or persecutor, played by an apparent other.
One of the things we thought about, we talked about, was that there's some, to think about, is there a story where you don't believe it's about you? Right?
Like it,
is there something?
Well, there is one where it's clearly.
Let's hear. Let's hear the one.
Yeah.
The one that's really not about you.
Right. Who's got it? Who's willing to? Isn't somebody?
They're just taking their time.
Oh, they're taking their time.
Yeah, it's
somebody online might have.
No, slow down, Doris.
Well, I'm contemplating because I want to share, like, obviously this is confidential.
You're going to have to talk a little bit louder.
The one that is not about me is so like my husband drinks too much, and then he is an idiot, and I don't like him, and it becomes probably the master player in our marriage failure. And I don't think that has anything to do with me. It's his drinking. That was like an earlier thing that I happened to like oversee. That's it doesn't have anything to do with me version.
The only thing that occurs to me is that you're there.
I know why. That is about me. Yes. Okay.
That part.
Okay. That part. All right. That's helpful.
Yeah. That's where we start. It's happening. If I believe it's happening to me, then I have this access place of feeling what it feels like. Doing the 6 steps, once I felt the impact of his drunkenness and his abusiveness in whatever way, at least non-relational. And I have that, and I use that as my experience to do the 6 steps so that I can find out I am there, and I wonder what that's about, right? Not to self-blame, but to understand how frequency works, how things that we're so clear we would not consciously sign up for, but they're part of our world. Happening. Yeah,
that's helpful. Yeah,
thank you, Dora.
Can I say something quick about that in my own world?
Could you speak up, please?
You have to talk a little louder.
Can you hear me okay now?
I can.
I usually say I need to take responsibility for me being here in this situation. Oh, I decided to be here in front of this person, and then the challenge will come up of a relationship that's like, oh my God, what have I done? Or what are they doing to me? But it's actually, in hindsight, in the end, I just take responsibility for like learning, what did I need to do? What did I say? And for me, it's taking responsibility for where I place myself in this world.
Yeah,
what's similar?
Yes, it's similar, and it certainly is a step in the right direction. But what we do with the 6 steps is that we look at the frequency of that first choice, right?
Just being with.
Right, and especially as shit shows up, right, which it tends to do.
Yes.
When we look at the imago theory of relationship, what that says is that you're going to be attracted to someone who can both wound and nurture you as you were wounded and nurtured as a child. For most people, they get through the way I was nurtured very quickly, and they're onto the wounding, right? Unfortunately, but that seems to be the case. So the realization that can lead you to it's about me. What you said, I take responsibility for being here, for being in this relationship, right?
Right.
And so that can lead you to it's about me, but that's just the beginning of seeing what the dynamic was. What did I believe about myself that led me to being in that dynamic?
Got it.
Let me give you an example, because this came up yesterday and I worked it, which, well, Yara was having this revelation about it. It's about me. And then as she was talking about it, she was talking in relation to me. It's about her in relation to me. But what I got was I have a situation with someone who is well known and is in a power position and did me wrong. She seriously did me wrong.
That really happened.
That really happened. She did me wrong. The best thing that ever happened to me, because I got freed from it, but she's popping back up in my world, and she did me wrong, and she's poised to do me wrong again. And I was listening to Yarrow say, it's about me. But she got it. It's about me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is about me. And when I did that backing in, I saw this is the pattern, the early pattern of my mom is not going to let me be big. She is going to make sure I'm not going to be bigger than she is. And then that was very young. And then going back to some work with Pali of this hopeless, helpless place. That is the frequency I'm putting into the field. And it has to show up some way, somehow it's going to show up.
As the dominator.
As the dominator.
Yeah.
Is this making sense? It's like the frequency.
This may be a part of Adora's thing too.
The frequency I'm putting out is I'm going to end up being avoiding the feeling of hopeless helplessness. That's the adaptive behaviors to make sure I don't feel that. She's coming in to hit on that, to say, yo, wake up. You still have that feeling in there, clean it up. Because if I didn't have that feeling, the match wouldn't be there. And I wouldn't be projecting like I did with my mom okay, here it's gonna come again. I'm gonna be framed again. She's not gonna let me shine again. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, well, for me, it's,
This is
Jet.
Jen.
yeah.
Just say your name before you talk. So
I'm Jen. I'm over here. When you say, does that make sense? I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I've been on this path for many years, and so I do an inquiry of what's going on, what do I need to look at? Okay, here it comes again, and just feeling in my heart, and I've simplified it in my head. So when you say, does that make sense? I'm like, oh no, that's a lot of thinking for me, but I do get it. I get what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's all on the same track as.
So I'm not sure I did, Jet. When she says, does that make sense? How does that land for you?
Well, when I'm tracking, when Robin's speaking about her experience, it's almost like I'm translating in my inquiry language.
Yeah, good. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Yes.
so that's why I can't say, well, does it make sense?
Right.
I mean, the bottom line is it's a
tracking.
frequency match. That's the bottom line.
Yes,
That-
I'm tracking you.
That we're creating. We're incredibly creative.
Yes.
We're like powerfully creative, and we can create helplessness and hopelessness and all kinds of things.
Yes, and so It is that I'm tracking what you're saying. I'm visualizing, it's like a big movie in my head, your experience, and then I'm translating what that is in my own inquiry, and also remembering something that keeps coming up for me here on Maui. Maui to me is like, she has like the taskmaster for me for healing. And so there, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Well, this is Steve. Your original question was, when have we not felt that peace, that we're a victim, that we're, and I like the word separate, that we're a separate, so that means there's an out there.
Right.
And you had mentioned the pre-verbal. I'm thinking even in the womb, pre-birth, was some of that feeling, and it made me realize the only real times when it's not there at some level, at some maybe the deepest level, but it's there, is like the conception. You have a sperm and an egg, you're already kind of a separate two things all at once, but it feels like when you realize you were an individual in the womb and your mother was a different entity, that became a separation. Whenever it was some sort of trauma, whenever everything wasn't peaceful and fine, when there was stress hormones coming down into me that I didn't want, I could feel that as a separation. So it made me realize, growing up in adulthood and even to now, it's only those very infrequent times when I feel a oneness with everything and everyone, that there's no separation, and that there is the feeling of oneness, is how I would put that in words, or it's not a victim on some level, somehow, some way.
The oneness piece is very specifically the awareness and the experience that everything that you're privy to, whatever, through senses, through location, through whatever, is arising in you. And that way, it's this for me, this room, this sangha is it's and this and on the tube here, everything is arising in my awareness. That's where everything arises, right? That's what oneness is. It's not like you have to have any agreement with any aspect of what that oneness is, right? So it's the awakened experience of oneness is an energetic, perceptual, like I'm pointing to. It's not like, oh, I'm so attracted to you, or I feel your heart, or anything like what I don't want to misspeak, and I might here. Anything like what a bodhisattva vow might entail, right? It's not about serving or helping or anything. It's just the truth. It's just what's true, right? And so we start to relax into that as we know our participation in that, whatever's showing up, right? It's because the perception through the distortion lens, we're clearing the lens of perception. It's what this work is about. That's what waking up is about, cleansing the lens of perception. When there's a distortion lens there that I'm not good enough or I don't matter, then that will be the information in the way that this all shows up, right? And now we're no longer wanting to feel one with it because we're feeling dissed by it, more than likely. Yeah, the oneness is just a functional, just the functional nature of reality. If it's arising in you, what our mind does is it separates us from it. She's over, that woman is over there plotting, right? About something that's going to impact you, right? That's all in your consciousness. I mean, we have access to all of reality that in any way we participate in. Yeah. It's a magical reality.
So oneness, you're saying, isn't anything special. It's not,
It's what's true.
it's just the is.
Yeah.
Is there, making a differentiation between oneness and awake awareness? Do you see that as something not exactly the same?
Well, I think that the label oneness is an aspect of awake awareness
Okay.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And what would be some of the other aspects of awake awareness?
Peace and ease and love and happy.
Okay, because I'm feeling that when I'm in a place of oneness.
Right. That's
So
right.
it's almost like all those aspects, okay, they're all one.
That's
They're
right.
all in the awareness. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah. And falling out of our minds and coming home to the field of allowing, which is our true heart, is the everything just things don't pop up as being issues, as needing to be resolved, as the idea that there's a problem. Right. One of the teachings that I use is that there's a universal human paradigm, and it goes like this. There's a way that it should be, or there's a way that maybe you should be, and you're not, or it's not that way, and it's somebody's fault. Right. So we have this, so now you can see with that as an aspect of the distortion lens, you're going to be seeing a world where shit needs to get corrected. And it may be them that needs, that may be that guy you're living with, Adora. Right. So there needs to be a correction here. There's a way that it should be. It's not that way. Or there's a way that he should be, or they should be, or she should be, and they're not that way. And that's where the issue is, right? That's a distortion in that lens of perception.
So then I go into the allowance, right? This is Fedora. And then I think, oh, I'm supposed to just allow it to be okay. You know, I get confused in that, you know, where I'm going, oh, if I was living in the field of allowance, I shouldn't let this trigger me or be upset. I'll just allow it all to be okay.
Right. Now you need to tell the truth.
Right.
I'm triggered is something that's really important. Having been a spiritual bypasser for many years of my 86, soon to be 87 years, I can promise you don't want to take that road. And a lot of women do. Of course.
So the choices are resisting, thinking
Right.
something's wrong, or spirit on the stick, or
Right.
spiritual bypass.
Right,
I'm
right,
going to go to the field of allowance.
right.
And that middle path, or that
The
middle
higher,
path,
that's right.
is the authenticity.
It's true.
Exactly. And it comes from truth telling. It comes from finding the aspect of your distortion lens that is in play with this apparent external condition. In this case, our guy here. But it's like when you find that you have an early crib wound or a kindergarten wound where you were not picked up on time, or you were put at the back of the room for copying somebody else's paper, which you didn't do, but nobody would listen to you. And you concluded, I'll never get it right. There's something wrong with me. Right? And that got installed. That's a part of the way you see reality. That's the distortion lens. So that identity is what then your world shows up that way. And you're in this relationship, and before you know it, you're married, probably children after that. I mean, it just is all tumbles down to the common denominator of this wounded identity.
Yeah, I just got something because when you said not being picked up, so that is my wound from my father, you know, forgetting me at gymnastics.
Right.
And then I tried to walk home, but then I got lost.
Mhm.
And then my dad found me on the street. And then as soon as he found me, I was so happy. And he said, don't you ever
Right.
tell your mother, you know. So it was
yeah.
like, now you have to shut up and pretend
Yeah.
it never happened.
Right.
And that's what I'm stuck in. I just got that.
Yeah. And now we have a double wound.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I just put up with it, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And
Early
Wonder
training.
when, yeah,
Yeah,
that's good, okay,
thank you, Dora, thank you.
That's really good.
Yeah, and as we move through the 6 steps, what we do is to see the conclusion you made about yourself when that happened. First, I don't matter because somebody would be here to pick me up. That was likely to be in that category. And then the second thing is that I can't tell the truth. Like I'm, I'm like on alert. It's a hyper alertness. It's we start to talk about adrenal issues then. So that now you have internalized that whole thing, right? And so what we're doing is bringing into the light what you internalize. And the 6th step is the forgiveness for ever having believed something that could never be true. And that's the full arc of the 6 steps to freedom process. Seeing what we believe, that it got installed, that it's been participating in creating our experience. It looks like, the shit really happens because the information into the quantum field, they will not invite you. They will exclude you. That woman will diss you. It's going to all really, it's like, it's really happening, right? But it's your reality. This is a radical shift in perception of the nature of reality, because typically the model of cause and effect, right and wrong, good and bad polarity, I would say, has to do with this world and you're engaging in it or dealing with it, right? You're operating in a 3D reality. And that's where cause is, and that's where influence is, and that's the error of the nature of creation, which is coming to light now through the double slit experiment, through the quantum physics understanding of how it works. We're the creators here.
So Polly, this might not, I don't know about this question, but when we say it's about me, are you pointing to the me as an ego, or are you pointing to this is about me, my field of awareness? That is,
The me that we're pointing to is the me that got created out of the womb. That's the me that we walk around with, kind of like that's the mask, that's the outfit. That's the me we walk around with all the time. And then the me is like a target, right? In a way, energetic target. Because if that me was like, I'm not good enough, I don't matter, then it's everything from the external, because it is a projection, is going to land.
would another way to say that be, it's about my wound? It's about my early wound?
Right. The me came out of the early wound. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robert.
Both the I'm triggered and it's about me. In my experience, it was just a matter of, for the most part, kind of changing my habit, because at first I'd get triggered. There was no consciousness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just changing and developing the habit of recognizing when I'm triggered.
Right.
And then with It's About Me, it's kind of the same thing. It's developing the habit of it's not that, it's me. And it's just the habit of thinking about it that way.
That's exactly right. And that what that points to is how thought plays a part in all of this, because the thinking, the rational analytic mind, which is what became dominant in our idea of ourselves with what we call the fall, is the operative aspect of what you're pointing to, right? I think, therefore I am, was the fall of Western intelligence.
Well, I'm just curious, I want to make sure whether you're literally just those 2 steps, or is it working through all 6 steps, getting to the place of forgiveness that then allows you not to be so triggered the next time, that allows you to see it's about me, because that wound, and without to it seems to me without that forgiveness part,
Oh, yeah.
you would just keep butting up against
Oh, yeah.
the same
But
trigger.
recognizing that doesn't stop the trigger. It's just, I'm a lot more sensitive to recognizing when I get triggered today than I was several years ago.
Right, but is that because you went through all 6 steps, not just that you know the first and second step so well?
Probably, I hadn't tried to think that through.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just,
I wasn't trying to say how I arrived at this point. I was, my comment was that, we do a lot of things through habit.
right,
And I used to have the habit of getting triggered and not recognizing it. And now I pretty much have a habit of, if I get triggered, which is a lot less because I've worked on things, but I still get triggered. But when I get triggered, I'm much more likely to recognize it, say, in the first 5 seconds than I was several years ago. And I believe that difference primarily is a habit, regardless of how we get there, of how I look at things. But
The quick and dirty version of the 6 steps that I sometimes mention is, I know what that, I'm triggered, I know what that is, and I know who I am. Because the 6th step is the revelation of myself as awareness, right? And so when you're triggered, that collapse can occur. It's a dangerous thing to use if there's still work to be done, and for most everybody there is. So it's important to do the steps and to get the good results out of the limitation that gets imposed in self-perception by the early wound.
I just want to check if there's anyone on Zoom who has anything that's coming up for you, or you'd like to add to this conversation or ask a question to Polly about it.
I think the most important takeaway, perhaps, is the way in which our perceiving creates our reality. And, just as an analogy, I use the analogy of the distortion lens through which we perceive. That the information in that distortion lens came from our early wound, our conclusion. Just an understanding of this as a perceptual reality is such an expansion in one's own sense of the nature of reality, right? Did I use the orange glasses already?
No.
One of my favorite, just to impact with the idea that we're seeing through a distortion, I think it's Rupert Spira that uses the idea that if you live in the North Pole, but you have orange glasses that you are required to wear, you will believe you live in an orange world, right? So we have, I'm not good enough, and that's the world we live in. Now, because our minds are caught in polarity, we will sometimes get the good end of the stick, which is not only am I good enough, I'm the best. So you go towards narcissism or arrogance, right? But the point is that it's a perceptual reality. So that stick is there. Typically, even though you can get at the good end of the stick, maybe some things you wanted, the guy, I always say the job, or the money, or the guy, or whatever, but what to drop that stick is like if we use the diagram of a triangle with that polarity being the baseline, then the apex is meta to the stick, and it's free of the wounded conclusion. So that's what the six steps does, is it clears that polarity. It clears that fear-based identity.
Yeah,
This is Denise. I just want to, everything that everyone said really resonates with me. And perhaps this is more as you do the six steps. But again, when it comes to, it's about me. And I so appreciate the perception of the lens that we look through. Once I get to that point and I have that realization, it's a like a razor's edge kind of. It's about me and how to not fall back into a victim or wounding because I created this. Instead of the empowerment part of it, I created it, and there I need to do something, or do I need to? I don't have the words for it, but I saw you shake your head. So perhaps you have, I always ask for baby steps, even though I would love quantum leaps. How do we go from the story, like I resonate very much with that, with Robin and all of that, and I've had an aha right here with what you're saying. So how do I go from that, where I am right now, to continuing to see that I am creating and not fall back into the victim or hopelessness or the cycle? Does that question make sense?
Right, yeah, of course. The shift that is required at that place, because that's a slippery slope for sure, Denise. Anything that you can see, you're not it. So when we start to be able to see the wound, what we concluded out of the wound, how a me got created, we are having an experience of ourselves as awareness of it. And that's like a toehold into the larger shift into true nature, right? Anything that you can see, you're not it. When we talk about the seeing of a world that's against me, we know that we are perceiving or seeing through a distortion lens, right? When you become aware of this early wounding, you are not the me that got created out of that early wounding. You are the awareness of that early wounding. It's both a perceptual difference, and it's also in a way, it's a geometric difference, right? It's like you're looking at something. You're looking at that wound when that happened, and you were 3 years old, and something happened, and you concluded, I don't matter, right? You're looking at that. That's the perception that starts to cleanse the lens of your conclusion when that thing happened and you concluded, I don't matter. Now you're seeing that that's what's been at play, right? But you are the seer of it. You're not it anymore. And that's when we start to move into more and more freedom, right? Our conditions are about the me that was created with, like, not getting picked up on time, or being criticized about your grades, or being ostracized in the family in whatever way. There was a me that got created. But now through this process, you are the awareness of that.
let me come in from a different angle.
Good, thank you.
For my that I'm finding for myself, which is Pali is really helping me see that all of my actions are adaptive behaviors against feeling the hopelessness and helplessness. So when you ask, how do I not feel that? Well, no, actually, I'm finding the more I let myself put that in my arms, put that hopeless, allow that hopeless, rather than resist it, is the seeing it and not be, is the is I leave the resistance to it. Am I making sense?
You know, you were exactly how that was like the next thing that I was going to say, because I heard you also say that it's in resisting it, in the not allowing, so having, for me, the courage
Yeah.
to allow that feeling of helplessness or hopelessness or whatever it is, and perhaps, because it is to let it be what it is,
Mhm.
but not
So
just
you-
allow it. It would, but to love it in a way, for showing up and having compassion for that as it's showing up. Is this what you are saying?
That is exactly what I am saying, that in that it just dissolves, but I'm not identifying with it. That's
Right.
the shift. When we're resisting it, we're identifying with it. We think we are it.
And
And we can't bear that. We can't bear that. That's why we created all the adaptive behaviors.
so it also goes back to, it's about me, and again, that's where to me it's like this strange circle. Okay, I'm allowing and I'm loving this, the awareness of, I've had those split moments and those ahas with the I get it, and this was perfect how it happened, and it's all okay. And then it'll slip and come back to, okay, now I'm stuck in hopelessness, and so there's an I there with it. And keeping that observer point and allowing or appreciating the play, just like I paid good money to go see something, and I'm not what's happening there. However, that identity, that ego, whatever you want to call it, it shows up. So how do we consciously continue to just allow it to be as it is for as long as it is? I don't know how to really articulate it, but I'm trying my best, because everything you're saying, I get on such a deep level, but I find myself in this experience right now that I'm surprised. I'm here again. And so I'm trying to remember and pull that information that you're brilliantly sharing with us, and be with it and be able to love it and not slip back into, well, I guess it is going to be painful. I guess it is. I'm not saying not slip back into it, but in allowing it,
That's right.
there is that pain, there is that sadness, and there is that's coming up.
Yeah.
And that, that thing of people outside of myself, how we're trained to show up in the world so that we're lovable or that it's okay. And then as I'm speaking, there's that thing in my head of, I'm talking, I'm being very vulnerable, and those tears that are happening, I don't want them to be that way. I want to be able to say what I want to say and not feel this way, but it's necessary to feel that.
That's right.
And that I am not the only one that experiences that. It's an illusion that has been created very much by our Western world.
That's
How
right.
I'm very shocked, and have been from the time I was little, when I would go to a funeral, and I remember speaking at a good friend's funeral, in the fact of, we're not okay with for just even grieving and mourning and get on with it. And it's very interesting in the culture that has been cultivated that way, that we're not allowed to be human. We reach and say, we reach so much for our spirituality that we forget, or our divinity, that we forget to embrace our humanity, and it hasn't been maybe modeled for us or whatever it is. But I'm I said a lot. And so if anything from that, you have something that you would like to share, I
Well,
would appreciate it.
Yes, Denise, I so appreciate your sharing. The fundamental thing is that everything comes to pass unless we resist it or attach to it. Typically, it's going to be resistance in this arena that we're pointing to right now, right? I'm not good enough. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to feel that. But that got installed, right? That got installed. And so, but if I come to like this group, the Sangha, or in my own work, I start to do what you pointed to and what Robin was talking about, which is including it. Show me what you got. You're fine. And allowing that field of allowing, which I consider to be our true heart, which I believe we lost during what we call the fall, that we fell out with, that we created a heart with our mind. I know how to be good, I know how to be kind, but our true heart is the field of allowing. And so as you allow this, as you hold it, as you're not in resistance to it, it has its own life. And in that life, it'll have its own demise, it'll have its own ending. But allowing everything to be whatever it is. And because it is resistance to what we concluded about ourselves, that's creating a frequency along with the distortion lens that holds us in it holds us in this creation. It holds us in our minds, and that's a bad neighborhood. So we can. But you're right on point, sweetie. Yeah. Good. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Denise. So we're at the bottom of the hour. I just want to say that we are starting a master class on the 6 steps. So we'll continue to go deeper into this for 6 weeks. I just want to check, raise of hands. Anyone here planning on doing that master class? Denise, okay. You might be, yeah, okay. And anybody on Zoom here planning on doing the master class? I'm just trying to get a sense.
Will it be on Wednesdays?
Everything's always on Wednesdays. That's the
Everything
only,
is.
it's the only day we do things.
No wonder I
here.
missed stuff.
Okay, so we just want to we're just checking to see if there's really interest in that. So there is, okay, the 2 of you, yeah, 3 of you, okay, great. The other thing, just a gentle reminder that Polly offers her heart and her time by donation. There's a donation basket at back. There's Venmo and PayPal, and your generosity is most welcomed and appreciated. So we're going to, I know some of you will leave now. We're going to do a half-hour of silent meditation while we go into the field. And I just really appreciate everybody showing up and being willing to be on that edge, because that's where the gold is. That's where we come home to ourselves, is allowing and showing up, and we're doing it together. We're really doing this all together. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Aloha, Robin. Aloha, Mount Polly.
Aloha,